Lots going on in the garage these days. I finished the snow bike build, took this to the Toronto International Snowmobile and Power Sports Show. Got a People's Choice Award, which was pretty cool. Also put on the Warren 72-inch plow, the Pro Vantage 3,500 pound winch on the Wolverine X2. Real nice system here. This is going to work awesome for the snow. But today's project is the Yamaha skid plate set for the Wolverine X2. A nice thick poly material. These are going to be awesome. We ride a lot of rocky terrain here in Northern Ontario, and although the Wolverine X2 has full steel skid plates from the front all the way to the back, I wanted that extra protection that these poly skid plates are going to give. A little bit extra when I'm sliding on rocks and over logs and things like that. It's that extra peace of mind that I'm not going to be bending the actual frame or hitting rocks on the actual frame of the Wolverine X2. I'd rather scrape up and dent up these poly skid plates. So as with the other accessories for the Wolverine X2, very, very detailed instructions and high quality hardware, all packaged up step by step. Very easy to do. So we'll go through this install step by step, and I'll show you what needs to be done to get these Yamaha skid plates installed on the Wolverine X2. The first step is to remove the lower bolts on each of the front mudguards. 10mm socket on a ratchet is the tool of choice for this job. Okay, here's the hardware all laid out. You've got your bolts. You've got cup washers, hardware there, and you got spring nuts. Two of the spring nuts are actually larger, and we're going to start with those ones first. They go at the front of the vehicle and install into the frame, so I'll show you that now. So the two longer spring nuts right here, they go into the frame through this notch and connect to this hole right here. There's going to be one on each side, and then, like I said, these spring nuts are longer. You're going to want to make sure all the spring nuts go with the threaded end inside or in the interior of the frame. So I'm going to grab my first 7 spring nuts now. There's a specific order that you put these skid plates on, so we're going to start from the front to the back in the order that the instructions say the plates are numbered, and you can see that here. So we're going to first install number 2, which is the right side of the vehicle. Then we're going to move to number 3, the left side of the vehicle, and then to 4, the center, 5 the very back, and 6. And again, the instructions say the amount of spring nuts for each side, so we'll go grab 7. You notice for each spring nut there is an access hole and the hole for the bolt right there, and that goes all the way down as well as in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and install the 7 spring nuts on this side, and I'll show you what it looks like when those are in and okay, you can see now with all 7 of the spring nuts installed, one there, one over there, one over there, one over there, and all the way to the back. So I'll move over to the other side and okay, onto the left side of the frame, you're going to need 8 of the spring nuts on the left side of the frame. So that was 7 on the right and 8 on the left. Take your final pile of 18 spring nuts and climb under your Wolverine X2 and install those remaining spring nuts into the holes here, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, once you have all the spring nuts in place, you can take your right hand side skid plate, and we've got 7 of the cupped washers and 7 bolts ready to go right here. We'll begin installing this. Okay, and there's the right side skid plate installed. I haven't tightened everything up yet, I've just got it snug. You can see how well this fits with the rock sliders. So this is going to work real good. I'm going to move on to the left side now before I do the center. Okay, to get the center skid plate in, I recommend using a jack or a second set of hands. It is quite large, so it's going to be hard to just hold up myself. So use the jack to get it in place, and I'll now install the cup washers and bolts to snug that up. Okay, after you get the center skid plate secured, you can go ahead and install the rear skid plate with the 4 cup washers and 4 bolts. I haven't tightened everything up yet. I've just kind of snugged it up. I'm going to go around after and tighten every nut and bolt here, but we'll finish getting everything in place first, so I'm going to go ahead and install this rear skid plate. The last step was to install the metal plate into the front of the frame, connecting the frame to the skid plate. You can see the skid plate has a little notch in there that the metal plate connects to. So now I'm going to go around with a socket and I'm going to tighten everything up. Okay, after installing the skid plate set, you're going to notice that there's just one small piece of the underbelly of the Wolverine X2 that is not covered, and that's between the front bash plate and the skid plates. And you can see that here, right here, this section here doesn't have any protection. Of course, you got your front bash plate there. So the one thing I would recommend if you want complete underside protection for your Wolverine is grab the Yamaha aluminum front bash plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the stock plastic front bash plate and we'll install this aluminum metal one, and that should provide, or will provide rather, full protection from the very front of the Wolverine all the way to the back. Of course, looking at the back, you'll see that great protection around the hitch receiver. If you're backing up, it's going to deflect a log or a stick or something like that. And these skid plates go from the very front all the way to the back, front being just behind the rear wheel. So adding this aluminum plate is going to make a huge difference for that underside protection. Really, really easy install. Just a couple U-nuts, 2 of those will go in the frame. We'll remove that front bash plate and use the provided hardware to install the aluminum one. So I'll go ahead and do that now. First, I'm going to remove the front plastic bash plate before installing the metal one. Okay, got the front aluminum bash plate installed. Took about 10 minutes, not hard to do at all. See there, tons of beefy protection for the Wolverine X2, and of course now with this aluminum front bash plate and the combination of the skid plates, I have full underbody protection for my Wolverine X2, so it's going to be great for rock crawling and sliding over logs and all that. Not quite sure how much rock crawling I'm going to be doing now. I think it's time to plow some snow with the Wolverine X2. Let's give that a try.